Can you believe it? For one time in my life, I don't know what to say. Let's talk nutrition. She's gonna finally make the YouTube video. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna take a seat.
Okay, that's fine.
Alright, this video is all about nutrition, the fourth discipline of triathlon, and honestly, the most important. We all know I use 226s. Now there's other brands out there that you can use. There's, obviously competing brands. I use 226s because I love the product, I love the variations, I love the flavors, it works well with my stomach. Everything is tested to make sure it's clean and safe. So I'm going to talk from a 226's point of view. However, there are other brands out there. Obviously, if you want to use 226s in South Africa, I got a 20% discount code, which we'll plug in the description of this video. But other than that, we want to run through what I use in my Ironman, what I use for training, what I use for everyday life, and just take a deep dive into why nutrition is so important when you race, and probably more importantly when you train, and what the point is of this maltodextrin, fructose, cyclodextrin, beetroot, creatine, these sorts of things. So, action. So the first things first is we all say limit your sugars, limit your performance, and that is so important to state, because when we go hard we use glycogen, and glycogen can be replaced in the form of carbohydrates. Now it's been proven that a ratio between maltodextrin and fructose in 10:8 is the fastest absorbing and the best for you in terms of how much you can absorb at a time. Let's say you go take Powerade, let's say you take Coca-Cola, let's say you take fast refined sugars, corn syrup, fructose syrups, these sorts of things. Our body can only take a certain amount, so whether that's 30 to 40 grams, you can only absorb syrups to a certain extent. Whereas if you take it in the ratio of, maltodextrin to fructose, you can absorb more and you can absorb it faster and better, right? When you're taking those syrups, what happens is the body is getting used to it over time, and actually your tolerance will get worse. Whereas on this side of the table, when you're taking products that are really good for you, that yes, they are pricey, but if you're taking them, your body gets adapted where you can actually absorb more. So if I can in an Ironman take in 150 grams per hour, then obviously I'm going to have more energy for a longer duration of time. And that's why it's important to train on it. Not only to get just your tummy right for it, but to also increase your tolerance. If you're taking lots of caffeine, you're going to increase your caffeine tolerance. If you're drinking a lot, you're going to increase your alcohol tolerance. The same with this sort of stuff. So that's the first point, is carbohydrates are super important, but what carbohydrates you use is even more important. So we're obviously talking a very educational video here today. I think, when I'm doing an Ironman, the paces I'm going at are very sustainable and honestly quite easy. In terms of my heart rate, I'm never really going above 70% of my max capacity. Now, why that's important to say is, let's say in that marathon when I'm running 340 per kilometer, I can do that all day, any day, every day, all the time. So what is the limiting factor? Yes, of course, it's the efforts you've done prior to getting off the bike, but ultimately it's nutrition. So whether you're racing anything above an hour race, often your limiting factors is not lactate acid, it's not heart rate, it's not these sorts of things. It comes down to your nutrition. So if you can dial in your nutrition, you will be able to have more energy and sustain longer. So yes, the videos we create about training and doing all these things are super important, but I also think creating educational videos on the fourth discipline, nutrition, to help you actually take away some education from these videos. So we're going to dive into Ironman because I think that's what people are actually interested. What nutrition does a pro triathlete take during his Ironman? That is more inside than insight. When I was preparing for my first Ironman, I was trying to find all sorts of videos from all sorts of pros trying to get a bit more information on what to take, and honestly they didn't share it. So here it is, here's what I took, and I think I had a good debut, so I think it worked and I'm pretty stoked with what I got. Nutrition starts days out, and that's where the beetroot comes in. I take these 3 beetroot sachets prior, so 1 per day, 3 days leading into. Now beetroot is proven to enhance performance and blood flow. I'm not a scientist, please don't take anything I say, you can do your own research, but I take these Nitro Pros beetroots 3 days out, which is super important. Then when we get to the race, ultimately in my first Ironman I was trying to average 100 grams of carbs per hour. Pros do more than this, they're aiming between 120 some to 150, but because it was my first Ironman I didn't want to risk coming to walking because of nutrition. For the average age grouper, I would recommend rather staying between 70 to 90 grams of carbs per hour, especially if you haven't trained your gut to handle it. It worked for me, it was enough energy, and I got through it. So the 3 main things you're looking for is carbohydrates in a 10:8 ratio of maltodextrin to fructose. The next thing you're looking for is caffeine, a performance enhancer, and then most importantly, electrolytes, potassium, sodium, these sorts of things that's going to stop you from cramping. Now my 3 products that I use for this, I've got my high fructose gels, which are these guys. I've got my salt tabs, my pro salt tabs, and then I've got electrolytes just before the race start. These 2 gels are called high energy gels, which I only take 2 of because the grams of carbs are released in cyclodextrin, so not the same as the fructose gels. These are slow releasing carbs. I take these just for sustained energy throughout, almost as a safety net, these 2 bad boys. And then the mix I use is the high fructose energy drink mix in the neutral, no flavor, because honestly when you're taking like biscuit flavored gels and banana and strawberry, you kind of want a bit of blandness or plainness, and then of course water. There's not much more to say outside of my actual racing. The products that I take is pretty much identical. So if you have a look here, mainly 80% of my gels are high fructose. We have a few isotonics, we have a few high energy gels, but we have a few different flavors of the high fructose. But I really am trying to train every single day my gut to absorb what I'm going to use during the race. The 3 products that I don't race with, that I do train with, are the following. Creatine. Every man, woman, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, child, daughter, granny, grandpa should be taking creatine. Creatine is probably the most important supplement you can take. No, it's not going to make you big. I'm in the leanest I've ever been, and I've just only started taking creatine this year. It is incredibly important for your mind, but also your performance, your body, and your recovery. So creatine is essential. I take vitamin D. I would say I'm pretty tanned. However, that doesn't mean I get my vitamin D, even though I'm chasing sun 24/7. I have a deficiency. Now, don't tell me why, but I have that. So I take vitamin D3 every single day. The 3rd product, which is not on this table, is that guy there. The 3rd product that I do take in training is the isotonic drink, which has beta-alanine, vitamins, minerals. It is sugar and lactose free, but of course there is carbohydrates. It's a lower carbohydrate content. The reason I take this is for easy sessions. I also want to give my gut a bit of a break, so I do use this almost every day just to make sure that I'm hydrated and getting just a touch of the energy I need if I'm not doing a hard intensity. This is what I use, and this is what I recommend, and I do fully support this product. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, shoot. I really wanted to create this video not only to support the company that supports me, but that you're getting, I would recommend a product that is being made outside of South Africa. Because products that are made outside of South Africa, they are all batch tested, which means what is in the product is that what they say is in the product is actually in the product. Companies in South Africa do not do batch testing, so we do not know for sure if what's in it is actually in it. And I can tell you the science, the reason why it's so expensive is because they are science backed. They make sure that everything is handled with care and in there, and you know it's properly used, and there's a reason why pros align with this, not only for the obviously getting sponsored, but if I was not sponsored, I would still pay the amount to have the right nutrition, because more so than the training, the nutrition is super important to stay injury free, mentally stable, and physically in the game. So that's everything you need to know about nutrition. You will never doubt it again. As I said, if you want to use a different product, use a different product, but most importantly, subscribe, like, share, comment, send this to your friend about to do an Ironman. This is his easy go-to to nutrition. I will chat with you guys in the comments. Message me, ask me questions about nutrition, and I'll answer to make sure that you've got the perfect race day plan, whether you're doing a sprint distance, Olympic distance, 5K, 10K,